Hey guys, thanks for watching today's video. For those of you that are new to my channel, I'm Lauren and I am a money and mindset coach. So today's topic is tackling your debt starting now. So remember all of those bar tabs and those shopping sprees during our college years? I wish I could talk to, maybe shout at, myself in my 20s and explain exactly how those spending habits were impacting the rest of my life. But that ship has sailed. So instead, in my 30s, I really started to focus on correcting the mistakes of the naive me and improving my financial health. Financial health is an actual term, and it's really well named too, because in my own relationship with my finances, it directly impacts my health in a very significant way. So when my spending and my debt is out of control, my sleep suffers, my diet suffers, my relationships suffer, my anxiety increases, my happiness decreases, and so much more. But when I'm in the driver's seat of my finances, I literally feel healthier. Financial health is defined as the state of a person's monetary affairs or personal financial situation. And it's most often broken down into 4 pillars: spending, saving, borrowing, and planning. And as I mentioned before, financial health directly impacts a person's physical, mental, and social well-being. So we better get ours in check. One of the best indicators of a person's financial health is their debt-to-income ratio, or DTI. To calculate your DTI, you use a very basic mathematical equation. The former math teacher in me really enjoys telling you this. It's very simple. You take your monthly expenditures divided by your monthly income. So, for example, if your monthly bills total $4,500 per month and your monthly income is $7,000, then since $4,500 divided by $7,000 comes out to approximately 0.642, you're going to move that decimal places 2 to the right to come up with your percentage, and your DTI, or debt to income ratio, is 64.2%. That is not good. So typically you want your DTI to be under 30%. So 64.2%, there's some work to do. Now, calculate yours. Take a minute, pause this video and calculate your own DTI, or debt to income ratio. And if it's bad, don't panic, okay? But be honest with yourself. You can fix any problem only if you recognize it and admit it. If you just calculated your DTI and your number was bad, do not worry. You're not alone. In 2020, the American household had an average of $145,000 of debt, according to American Consumer Debt Stats. And despite increasing consumer debt trends that were happening that don't even include mortgages, Americans continued to purchase bigger and bigger homes, lease or buy more expensive vehicles, and lived far beyond their means. Then the global pandemic happened and just exacerbated an already existing problem. According to Experian, the pandemic resulted in increased unemployment, the highest level ever since 1948, and thus decreased income. So when you have less income, it's very easy for your debt to grow. Some other interesting stats, if you're kind of a math nerd like me, is that according to debt.org, over the past few years, student loan debt increased by 12%, mortgage debt increased by 7%, personal loan debt increased by 6%, and surprisingly, credit card debt dropped by 9%. This was the first annual drop in over 8 years, but it's largely accredited to or due to the fact that we spent less during a global pandemic. So our credit card amounts weren't escalating as quickly as they normally would. But Americans carried more debt in 2020 than at any other time in history, according to Investopedia.com. So those numbers are staggering. You are not alone, but it is time to regain control. Luckily, there are many methods to get out of debt, and also many strategies to avoid falling back into debt or going into debt if you currently aren't. So in addition to focusing on your debt, make sure that you are scrutinizing your spending habits and exploring saving opportunities so that you can get off that hamster wheel of debt. Check out my other video, Top 5 Money Saving Game Changers, for more savings help. Okay, so now we know how to calculate our debt to income ratio. We know all the stats about where we stand in relation to the rest of the country. Now we need to tackle that debt. So the top 3 methods are what we're going to discuss next. The first method is called the debt avalanche method. Okay, so picture an avalanche. Hopefully you're not at the bottom. So what is it? What is this method? So what it means is you're prioritizing your debts with the highest interest rate first. So you're collecting all of your debts, whether it be credit cards or auto loans, etc., and you are looking at the one with the highest interest rate, and then the next one, the next second to highest interest rate, and so on and so forth. You are focusing on paying the highest interest rate debts first, while also still paying the minimum monthly payment on all of the others, because you do not want to hurt your credit score. Once the first one is paid off, then you're going to prioritize the next highest interest rate debt. And then you're going to continue on until that avalanche has stopped. Okay? So what are the pros? What are the benefits of this method? So one benefit is that it results in you paying the lowest amount of interest over the course of all of the payoffs. So in other words, you will be paying less money in the long term because of the way you are approaching or prioritizing your payments. But the cons, the negatives are that psychologically it can be hard to stick to because you're feeling very little immediate gain or win or progress with eliminating your debts. It takes longer to eliminate. So the bottom line is it's a really good method if you can persevere and not give in without that immediate gratification. So now we're going to move on to method number 2. This is called the debt snowball method. Don't you love the way these are named? You can really get the visual. So what is this one? This is when you prioritize the smallest debt first. So remember, with the avalanche method, we were focusing on the interest rate and we were looking at the highest interest rate. Now with the debt snowball method, we do not care about the interest rate. We are finding the smallest debt amount first, regardless of interest rates, okay? And you focus on paying the smaller debt first while still paying the minimum monthly payments on all of your others. So the pros to this are you have amazing emotional and mental positives. You're quickly feeling progress in eliminating a debt because you're working on the smallest one first. So this psychological stimulus may result in you kind of sticking with it longer. The cons are that, ultimately you are paying the highest amount of interest over the course of all of these payoffs, or you could be. Because you are not attacking the highest interest rate loan first, over the course of the loans, you are not getting the best deal or paying the least amount. But the bottom line is that it's really a helpful psychological tool to use the debt snowball method, but maybe it shouldn't be followed explicitly, especially if the interest rate is really low on that small debt amount. We'll talk a little bit more about that in a minute. So method number 3 is called debt consolidation method. It doesn't have as fun of a name. So what is it? Basically, you take out one large loan. It's often a home equity loan, a personal loan, or what we call a balance transfer credit card. And we use it to pay off all of your smaller debts. And ideally, your new big loan that you have will have a lower interest rate than your existing debts. And this method is really common for paying off a bunch of credit card debts. So the pros to this are that it usually lowers your monthly minimum payment, which decreases your financial load or financial stress. And it also simplifies repayment by just having one payment to send off instead of remembering multiple. The con is that it often results in overall more interest being paid because you've increased the length of the term. So the bottom line is that this may be applicable and beneficial for you if you have a lot of high credit card debt with multiple credit cards or credit card companies. However, it should be avoided when possible due to the increased interest that you pay over the course of the longer term lengths. So you're probably wondering, what is my winning pick? Well, a combination of methods. And I'm sorry if that sounds like a cop-out, but it's the best one. Never feel that you have to completely follow one plan, and instead cherry pick the best parts of each, or start with one method and then swap to another when applicable. It's also important that you know your own personality when deciding, because if you're someone that needs to have those short wins in the progress to move forward, then you may want the snowball method. However, once you've paid off some of those smaller amounts with the snowball method and you're feeling really great and motivated and empowered, then you may want to switch to the avalanche method. So you're really attacking those high interest rates and paying less over the course of the long term. And then maybe you switch to the avalanche method and you realize, nope, I need to see the wins. I need short-term success. So then what you're going to do is hop right back over to the snowball method. You are never stuck in one method, and there is no right or wrong. It all depends what works for you, what works for your lifestyle and your personality and your financial phase. If you have a lot of credit card debts, you may want to consolidate them and then use either the avalanche or snowball method to attack all of your other debts. It's all about tweaking the methods to find the perfect plan for you. I hope you enjoyed this video. See you next week.